Hello, everybody. This is Ilana from 826 Boston. 826 Boston is a chapter from 826 National, which is a youth writing and publishing organization. I am the Writers Room Coordinator at the Boston Teachers Union School, and I am here today to lead a lesson on creative writing, which is targeted for first grade mostly, but it also can be adapted for K through 2, so lower elementary. We will be focusing today on story elements and how to use the story elements first to identify them in a story, and then how to use them to create our own story. For that, I'm going to share my screen with you. And this is our intro here. We have, so again, my name, Ilana Lara Gonzalez. This is a creative writing workshop of focusing on story elements for lower elementary K through 2, and our chapter of 826 National is 826 Boston. What we will be going over today and learning is reviewing the story elements, and we're going to do that with a nice book so you can identify the story elements that we're going to be focusing on today. We have a short video, and then we're going to talk about the story elements for today that are character and setting. We will be going into the plot, and the plot will be divided into 3 parts: the beginning, middle, and end. We will talk a little bit about sequence of events and watch a short video. We will organize the beginning, middle, and end of an event, or see how we can organize those in our story that we create. Wrap up, and then we have an example story created by a first grade class in the Boston Teachers Union School using this same format and this same lesson. So to begin with the story elements that we will be focusing on today are the setting, which is where and when the story takes place, and the main characters or a character. It can be one character. We can have secondary characters as well, but it is who or what the story is mostly about. And then we have the plot, which we are going to divide in the beginning of the plot, the middle, and the end. And I will tell you a little bit more about that as we progress with the lesson. So I am going to pause the sharing for a moment because I want you to try to identify some story elements in this book that I'm going to read for you today. The title of this book is Sky Color. I know it can get a little bit blurry, so I'll try to keep it as clear as possible. The title of the book is Sky Color. And as I read, I want you to listen carefully and try to identify the character and the setting especially. So who or what the story is mainly about, and where the story takes place. Now, sometimes it can be just one place, but sometimes it can be more than one place. So I want you to pay close attention as I read, and also think about what time of the day or what season, because the setting not only is where, but it's also when the story is taking place. So the title of this book is Sky Color, and the author is Peter H. Reynolds. I'm going to show a little bit here because I know it's going to get blurry. Now I want you to just focus on my voice and listen carefully, and then once you're listening, try to identify moments where you can figure out who or what the character is and what the setting is, where this story is happening. Sky Color by Peter H. Reynolds. Marisol was an artist. She loved to draw and paint, and she even had her very own art gallery. Not all of her art hung in a gallery. Much of it she shared with the world. She painted posters to share ideas she believed in. At school, Marisol was famous for her creative clothes, her box of art supplies, and her belief that everybody was an artist. Yes, Marisol was an artist through and through. So when her teacher told the class that they were going to paint a mural for the library, Marisol couldn't wait to begin. The classroom buzzed with the sound of brainstorming. The students talked and sketched. Together, they made a great big drawing. Then they marched to the library. I'll paint a fish, I'll paint one too. I'll paint the ocean, Marisol shouted. I'll paint the sky. Marisol rummaged through the box of paint, but could not find any blue. How am I going to make the sky without blue paint? The bell rang. It was time to put their brushes down for the day. As she climbed aboard the bus, Marisol kept wondering. All the way home, she stared out the window. The sun lowered closer to the horizon. Later, at home, Marisol watched day turn into night. That night, Marisol settled into a deep dream. She drifted through a sky swirling with colors. The colors mixed, making too many to count. In the morning, Marisol stood waiting for the bus in the rain. The sky was not blue. She smiled. Little page stuck here. At school, Marisol raced to the library. She grabbed a dish and began adding colors. This one, that one. She swirled the brush to make an altogether new color. Marisol then began painting on the wall. A boy asked, "What color is that?" "That," Marisol said, "that is sky color." I'm going to show you a little bit here of what she created. I'm going to show just one piece. You can see a little bit there of the colors, that sky color, what she came up with, because she encountered a situation when she didn't have blue and then figured something out, and there was a solution at the end of the story. So I'm gonna share my screen again. I hope while I was reading, you were able to notice more than one character and more than one setting. And also within the setting, more than one place, and also at least one time of day that was mentioned in the story. Now we're gonna go back to our presentation. And again, I'm gonna review really quick. Setting, where and when the story takes place, main characters or a character. We can have one main character and secondary characters also. Who or even what the story is mostly about. Now going to the plot, I talked about beginning, middle, and end, and now we're gonna see how we can divide that up a little bit and what details pertain to each part. So when we do our plot, now that we know our characters and our setting, when we do our plot, it's kind of like a little roller coaster where we start at the beginning of the story and we're going to present something there. I'm going to tell you now what we're going to present. Then we rise up to a situation, an event, sometimes a conflict or a problem that the character encounters. And this makes the character's feelings and thoughts change. And then the character has to figure out a solution to the story. And that's when from the middle, it starts going back down to the solution or resolution, which is the end of the story. So I'm going to show you this little plot video, and then we're going to discuss a little bit more how to put the plot together.
How to write a story. For young writers, stories need a few things. Hi guys, do you remember what a story is? A story tells us something that happened. Well, a story needs to have a few things so that it can tell us what happened. We are going to look at what these things are. We will start at the beginning. Here is the beginning of our friend Caterpillar. After the beginning comes the middle, and after the middle comes the end, and the end of him too. Caterpillar is just like a story that you will write. He starts at the beginning, has a middle, and ends with, well, an end. It is important to have all these parts because look here, if we have just a middle and an end, we wouldn't have a whole story or a whole caterpillar. What would our friend do then? Stories also need to have a setting. That is, where is it? Where is my story? Here it looks like it's outside on a sunny day. And a story needs characters. Who is in it? Who are my characters? Today, we have Stan and Sandy. And these characters need to do something. Something needs to happen in my story. Stan asks Sandy if she would like to see the clouds. I can see them from here, she said. Stan smiled, grabbed her by the hand and launched into the air. This is what I meant, he said. Sandy screamed her head off as she looked down from the clouds. So, young writers, let's look at what you know about stories. You know they need a beginning, a middle, and an end. You know they need a setting and characters, and that something needs to happen. Well, that was my story. Now, it's your turn. How to write a story.
Okay, so that's a little visual for you also of what we are talking about within the stories. And let me drag this over. Let's go back to our slideshow. Here we go. Okay, so now that you saw that video about the plot, we know there's a beginning, a middle, and an end to have a complete story. The beginning of the plot introduces the characters, the setting, the character or characters, the setting, and it may provide some background information and details regarding the character and the setting, but mostly about the character. Now, for the character, we have two diagrams here. For the character has physical and personality traits. And these sometimes change throughout the story, especially when that event or conflict is happening. So for physical traits, you're going to think about what your character looks like. Are they tall? Are they short? Are they slim? Do they have curly hair? Do they have straight hair? What's the color of their hair? The color of their eyes? What do they wear? That's all physical, what they look like, their appearance. And then they also have some, and that's why these are on the outside. We also have the personality traits where we put inside, which is the feelings. The feelings or anything that goes with the character's personality. So that's why they're personality traits, of course. So for the personality traits, we're going to focus more on feelings. Is it somebody that is a nice person? Are they a good friend? Are they caring? Is it someone that's rude? Is it someone that's always bothering somebody else in school, for example, if that's a story? Is it someone that's very shy? Is it someone that's very active? Is it someone that enjoys creating, singing? So you're going to think about what the personality of your character is, and you're going to put that together. Now, to begin, we're just going to choose three physical traits, so 3 characteristics of what your character looks like, and 3 personality traits. So what are their feelings? How are they in their personality? And with the setting, I divided the setting. So for example, you can make a whole setting just like we saw on the video, that it was outside on a sunny day. But also you can add details to your setting, thinking about what it looks like. So there you see 3 circles here that say sight, smells, sounds. So what does your setting look like? What does your setting even smell like? Maybe if it's a rainy day in spring and you know the blooming of the flowers, you can smell them a little bit, so it changes. If you're at the beach near the ocean and you can smell the salt from the sea. And the sounds also, for example, if we hear the chirping of the birds outside. So what does it look, smell, and sound like, to put the details together of your setting? Now for the middle of the plot, it introduces the event or the conflict or the problem, depending on what you're going to write on your story. So the character goes through an experience and their feelings begin to change. So it's important to keep in mind also that characters have wants and needs. So there's something that they want and there's something that they need to accomplish what they want. And this involves their feelings and their decision making also, especially in this part of the story when a situation is going to happen. So we have that the character goes through an experience, the character's feelings change, and smaller events happen to find a solution or a closure to the event. Now, towards the end, the plot middle, here's a little bit of more information. So the character is going through an experience, and you're going to think, what event, problem, or conflict happens with the character? For example, in the story of Sky Color, we know that Marisol went through the box of paint in school and she couldn't find blue. And that was a bit of a problem or an event for her. And she had to go through a lot of thinking and some processes to be able to notice or figure out a way for her to be able to paint the sky on the mural, for the mural at school. So also, how does the character's physical and or personality traits change? And then we have also, what ideas does the character begin to have to find a solution or an ending to the event, problem, or conflict? So we noticed that in the story Sky Color also, when Marisol left school and she was observing the sky, then she had this deep dream where the sky had so many colors that it was too many to count. And then when she woke up, it was cloudy, dark, and rainy, and the sky in any moment had the color, it did not have the color that she expected, which is the color blue that she was looking for in the box. And then of course, we know already that Marisol is very artistic and creative, so she created a new color that she called Sky Color. Now, towards the end of the plot, this is the solution or the closure of the events. How did the character figure out how to solve the problem or the event that was happening in the story? So basically, it's good to keep in mind that the story elements are our setting, when and where the story takes place, the character or characters, who and what is the story mostly about, and then the plot, which is all of the events that happen, but the plot has a sequence, which is the beginning, the middle, and the end. So towards the end, also, we have some details here. What idea did the character have to solve the event, problem, or conflict? And you can use the story Sky Color to respond to these questions and use that to be able to create your own story. Did the character change physically or personality-wise? Did the character change both types of character traits? So did they change their physical and personality traits? How did the character's traits change? What action did the character take to solve the event, problem, or conflict? And closure, what is the ending? How does it end? Now we're gonna watch a quick video, and I hope you notice two things. It's a very simple video, but the purpose is for you to notice exactly two things that we are going to talk about once the video is over.
Practice math on Adapted Mind to learn and earn rewards on your learning adventure.
Okay, friends, I am going to pause this, go back to our slideshow, and hopefully you noticed something particular in that short video. And the two things that I was expecting you to notice are here, that the video always presented the words first, next, and then. And then to put the sequence of events, to put the events that were in the pictures or in the images in order, they were using the numbers 1, 2, and 3. So what we're going to do now is that I have these two worksheets, so to say, or images of webs of how to put together your story. So something helpful for you to be able to create your story is beginning with the setting, where you can draw it in here. So the one on the left, this one that says story map on the top, it's for drawing mostly, but you of course can draw and write inside, or just write as well. For the setting, you're going to create your setting. You're going to create your character or characters, and then you are going to either illustrate, so draw or sketch, and or write the beginning, middle, and end of your plot. Remember, the plot are all of the events that happen in the story. We're just going to divide the beginning with presenting the character and the setting and some background information, the middle where a problem, a conflict, or an event happens, and the end, how the character solves how the conflict gets solved, or the character, while changing their emotions and making decisions, are able to bring closure to the event. Now, the one on the right side says basic story map. It gives you space to illustrate, to make your drawings or sketch, and also write the events that are happening at the beginning, middle, and the end of the plot. And then on the top, there's not much space, because it's basically for you to just write the title, the author, which would be you, the characters in the story, and the setting. So you're going to describe it in words. Feel free to use any of them as an example to create your story. And now, with all of this information, I'm going to show how a first grade class in the Boston Teachers Union School with us, with the writer's room team, were able to put together their own collective creative story, creative writing story. So I'm going to read this to you, and I hope you enjoy. The title is "The Tokies Get Superpowers." Once upon a time, long, long ago, in the city of the Tokies, there was a Toki who was very mean to everyone that he saw. Now, again, I'm going to start this all over, but I want you to notice, focus just like in Sky Color, characters, who or what is in the story, where, setting, where and when the story is happening, and the details, so the plot, what's happening in this story, and what happens at the beginning, in the middle, and towards the end. So again, title, The Tokies Get Superpowers. Once upon a time, long, long ago, in the city of the Tokies, there was a Toki who was very mean to everyone that he saw. The Toki wears his ripped jeans backwards, and he wears his cuckoo banana shirt backwards as well. They have the power to teleport and shapeshift. Inside of his mouth, there is a punching glove that comes out of his mouth and punches people. A Toki could use his punching glove to defend themselves or to steal if they need to. The city of Tokies only has 20 apartments and 20 restaurants. It is a closed, small city. Everyone in the city is a Toki. There are 15,000 Tokis. They eat things that are healthy, so the punching bag gets stronger. They encounter a time portal, but they're able to go back to present time. They want ramen noodles, but the restaurant is closed down. The Toki finds a weird scientist who made water suits and came to the city of Tokies through the time portal. They used a giant drill to sneak inside and steal the ramen noodles, but the Toki got caught by the opposite cops. So the scientist gets put in jail and has to stay there for 10 million years. The Tokis live for 90 years and in jail for a 20-year sentence. But the weird scientist might live way longer. In jail, they eat pizza, but it tastes like the worst pizza ever made. After the 20-year sentence, he tried again to sneak into the ramen place, thinking it was going to work, but it didn't. It didn't. So he was going to have to spend 51 years in jail. The other Tokis copy the first Toki. They clone themselves. So they use a punching glove to punch the metal jail doors. I'm sorry, I'm getting excited with all of the setting happening here and all of the details of the plot. He broke out of jail. This time when he got out, he ran to the other ramen place, but they only serve ramen with onions. Oh, gross. The Toki doesn't like onions. Order ramen without onions, please. The onions came to life with anger. They were offended Toki didn't like them, and they reverse. The onions try to eat the Tokis. The Tokis get a knife and chop the onions. They agree on having a wrestling match. The Tokis lose because the onions are fast and small. So they disintegrate into the ramen broth. So he doesn't know he's eating them. And they make the Tokis' eyes water. But then they drink the soup and get superpowers. And that is the end of this story. Now, I hope you enjoyed this very, very creative story from a first grade class in the Boston Teachers Union School with support and collaboration of the writer's room from 826 Boston. It's fair to say here that we keep the words of our students to their own words. So after revision and editing, we like to keep their voices true, and every word that's in this story is exactly how the students presented them. So now this would be the end of our lesson. And I hope you enjoyed. There are a lot of steps, so please feel free to scaffold it and break it down to make it work for you. But I hope you are able to create not one, but many, many amazing creative writing stories. And I would love to hear them anytime. So please follow us on YouTube for #at #a good time to write. And follow us also 826 National and 826 Boston on your social media as well. Thank you. Have a nice day, everybody.